All right, so let me get started. Hello, lovely people. My name is Chetina Hunter, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as the creator of Always Live Lovely. And you are tuned into episode 2 of Breaking Barriers, a Mental Health Conversation. So basically, the topic of today is going to be Section 8, and I am really excited to be joined by my lovely guest. Guest, if you would like to introduce yourself to the people so they know who you are.
My name is Tj Sykes. I'm a 28-year-old Black man from Richmond, California. I'm a published author. I'm an actor, entrepreneur, etc.
Yeah, he got all the et ceteras, even comedian up in that mug. He's a jack of many trades, okay? So I'm really excited to be sitting here with TJ today on episode 2 of Breaking Barriers. And the point of Breaking Barriers and Mental Health Conversation is basically because we struggle to be able to talk to people in our community, talk to people that we love and that we care about topics that really impact us. And I want to be able to just inspire and break down the stigma, shatter the stigma of a lot of different life experiences that we have. Mental health is very much a trending topic right now, but mental health is something that, we've been dealing with since we got on this earth because we all have minds. And then so I really am hoping that people are inspired and people can begin to just, kind of have conversations together, and it doesn't have to be so weird, and people can feel more comfortable to talk about topics that are very difficult. And hopefully it encourages people to just seek the healing that it is that, they need. Even if you never go and see a therapist, I'm hoping that people can get something from this series and from this video. So I chose Section 8 because, quite frankly, I haven't really seen anybody talk about Section 8 in mental health in any type of format. And it's just very important because even myself, like, I don't know a whole lot about the experience of Section 8 or a whole lot about the topic, but I can say that the majority of time, every time it comes to the topic of Section 8, like, it's so negative. Like, and it's like, even been imprinted in my mind, like, oh, that's not somewhere that I would want to be, or, I don't want to have to get to the point of having to apply to that because I don't really know what type of environment that I would have to live in and how that would impact me. So I thought it was really important to just have the space to talk to somebody who does have the experience, to where it even inspired him to write, himself a book. He putting it out there, trying to educate and inspire the people through art. So we're definitely just going to have a good time and being able to, just kind of talk and have a conversation. The point of this is not interview style. So I'm not interviewing. I'm not about to hit people with the facts and all the percentages of the people that it impacts and different things of that nature. We're really just chilling, two people, just talking about this topic. And just like I said, breaking down the barriers. All right. So when it comes to this topic, I definitely, like I said, like, I personally, like, I don't have like a lot of experience in regards to this. I probably talked to some clients that have lived in Section 8, or I definitely know some people that live in Section 8, but it comes with so much stigma of the fact that, even people, I feel like growing up, kids would even use it as like an insult or like a way to just hurt people's feelings, when really it's used to assist people, for them to be able to, low-income families and individuals, people that I believe have like even mental health diagnoses, and individuals that are disabled, for them to be able to just have somewhere to live and that not have to be a stress. But even from like your experience, TJ, of like what you usually typically hear when it comes to this topic, like, what have you heard?
Uh, I heard a lot of negative things about Section 8. I heard a lot of people, like you said, talking about other people for being on Section 8 and not being able to like afford to live in apartments on their own or have their own houses and things like that. Um, so for me though, growing up, I think I didn't really understand what it was at
Right.
all, and so growing up in it, I really didn't pay too much attention. But as I got older, I was looking at it and really started to pay attention to like who I was on Section 8 in my family and like how it was kind of passed down from different generations. And
Yeah.
that's what sparked my interest on like, wow, it could be an assistance, but it could also be a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so kind of like you said, it is some people that's like, differently able that aren't able to work. And so that could be assistance for them to be able to afford housing. But it's some folks that are able to work. They, are able to work or are able to create a source of income for themselves that still are on that and just, sitting with it. And I think that stunts individuals' growth. That's how I feel, yeah, personally.
Yeah. And you definitely like shared something that's like super important to highlight because I know that especially now with like on Instagram for sure, people are like making shirts and people talk about like intergenerational like trauma and trying to like break the generational curses and things of that. And so like when you mentioned it being something that, different people you noticed in your family were kind of like having to go through this process and this being like, the environment that they lived in, do you kind of see it in that framework of kind of like, something that could be like a generational breaking of like a cycle?
Yeah, definitely because most of a lot of my family members, older and younger, stay in apartments,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, that's something that I want to get out of. I'm like, I want to own a house. Yeah, I don't want to live in apartments my whole life. Not to say that it's negative to stay in apartments. I think that um, a lot of people need like support with living in different, just having shelter is a struggle out here, especially these damn prices.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, that's my goal is to own a home.
Mm-hmm.
One of my goals at least.
Yeah. And I think that's an amazing goal. And like you said, it's not a bad thing to like live in an apartment, but it's really beautiful. Like, because you also talked about people using it as like a hindrance and a crutch. And, I know even, prior to us preparing for this, I was kind of expressing to you, like, I know people that do live in Section 8 and then they live in Section 8 for years, even when they probably could afford to like, move somewhere else and give someone else that opportunity to be in that space. And then so it definitely sounds like your perspective of wanting like that growth mentality and wanting that growth mentality for your family too, like that's something that's really great and beautiful. And do you feel like there's something that kind of like inspired you to want to like make that shift and not stay in that space of like, well, I'm gonna just be in this for a long time? Like what helped you want to be like, I want to own a home, like that's where you want to go?
Yeah, it was actually moving from the apartments where I grew up at, because like the first like from 0 to 10, we kind of moved around. We lived in apartments, and then we had like two homes that we stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
Then went off like 10. My mother passed, and we had to move back to Richmond to Kennedy Manor where I grew up at, and so just having that experience with living in a house, it was like a drastic difference when you live
Mm-hmm.
in apartments. And so growing up from like 10 to probably like 15, 16, it was more like I was in it so deep in it, I didn't even realize what I was in. And then we had moved from the apartments to a house, like not too far away, but it was a house instead of apartments, and that's when it really started to shift my thinking around. Like, damn, this is a nice house. We not having inspections every other week. We not getting hella notices talking about stuff being on the patio. It's so much. I think it's so much stress and depression that come with um, some of those assistance, quote unquote assistance or benefits that you get that come with Section 8, that I don't feel like it's even worth it. Sometimes it's like a burden. It's a heavy burden that's on your back when it comes down to even a smaller thing like parking, sewage. It's just like you don't have to pay for like sewage per se, but the sewage might be backed up, and
Right.
from outside your house, it might be sewage all on the ground to where you
Mm-hmm.
got to over, feces and stuff. So it's like it's like a hit and miss. It's like it's a lot of things that come with it on top of it being a assistant or a benefit.
Right, right. And, that's really deep in regards to, this is like a resource that people need. And, it sucks to know that it comes with so many other things that could be kind of traumatizing, for the fact of people just trying to have a safe place to be, trying to have a come up, trying to just survive and live. Because as we know, like to live in California is bananas to even afford just anything. So sometimes this is the options that people have to work with. And then so knowing like that it's had such a bad rap environment wise of, people just sometimes not even feeling safe in their environment. Do you feel like have you ever actually like heard anybody have like a positive environment that they ended up in regards to like living in Section 8 to where they didn't really like experience anything that was traumatic?
Well, I think some folks, I think like yes and no, because I think
Mhm.
uh, the stories that I heard that seemed like they were pretty like on the upside was like people still having to relocate far away from like the city that they lived in their whole life, and so maybe it's like, oh, we moved to Antioch and we have a 5 bedroom home,
Mhm.
and that's like, oh, that's dope, and it's like, damn, why did you have to move so far away from your the
Right.
city you've been living in your whole life, in order to do that? So like, it's still like oh yeah, it's a bigger house, and it's affordable, but it's so far from my loved ones.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of like a balance of like a benefit, but it's like, damn, I gotta drive 45 minutes to see my mom or 45
Exactly.
minutes to see my grandma, and vice versa. They had to drive the same amount of time to come see me.
Mhm.
But I could have had a house in Richmond.
Right.
That's kind of like some of the story that I heard that wasn't so bad. Um, but it's also like um, moving from Richmond to Antioch. Some people would think it's like, oh, all right, well, when I move to Antioch, it won't be as violent as Richmond.
Mhm.
But gun violence is everywhere,
Yeah,
and so
that's a good
yeah.
point. Yeah, that's a really good point because I know even when it comes to just people typically wanting to like move out, even a lot of us are moving us like Tracy, Manteca, Stockton, and then it's that idea of like, oh, I want to be in a better environment, or I don't want to experience this, and the third, and then getting there and kind of possibly having some similar experiences. I can imagine like that could shake anybody up, with thinking that they could go out and it could be better. And then it ends up having some similarities to what they may have been experiencing before. And then even like I know you're talking about like inspections and stuff. And then so like I know that I have like, friends, people I know that are like landlords or that rent out, to people. And it definitely seems like even sometimes like the landlords and the renters can have like a stigma placed on things of like passing judgment into people or just trying to like make things be like, very, very difficult or not even wanting to rent to tenants that have Section 8. And like, I don't know like what your thoughts around that are, or even if there's like something that could just like broaden the perspective of people that are landlords or renters and being okay with like renting to people that have to utilize this resource.
Mm, I don't really know much from the perspective of folks that has rented or will or are able to rent to
Mhm.
folks. But what I do know is that amongst folks that are on Section 8, like, I mean, we just regular people, man, and we all struggling, and we
Right.
trying to get more resources so we can better ourselves and really take care of our families and some of the circumstances that we are under while we in these apartments. It's like if we not mentally strong enough,
Hmm.
spiritually enough, and sometimes physically strong enough, we not gonna make it out.
Right.
Uh, but our intentions is very like, it's like they pure. Like we really think sometimes when we doing certain things, it's to better like our families and stuff, and we be in it so deep at times that we don't see the harms that come with whatever it is, whether it's selling drugs to put money on to put food on the table, or
Mhm.
scamming, or bipping, whatever it is, these things in our minds, these are things that we're doing to help our family.
Right.
These are the only things that we knew. And for a lot of our folks, I feel like one thing that I'm able to see and identify with now at this age is being able to like transfer different skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we are able to get that, or be able to see that we can transfer a lot of these skills to like careers or entrepreneurship, then
Right.
that would be a game changer. So we need, that's the resource we need, is being able to, because for me, I feel like it's language barriers and it's
Mm-hmm.
skill barriers, and it's not being able to name certain things that we already doing, like grassroots fundraising. We already doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's we're trying to meet a need, but it's the way that we are going about it that don't sit well with others, right? And so
Right.
if I don't have no money and you got money in your car and I bust your window and I get some money, now I got the money, I met my need, but now you got a need, you don't have the money no more. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what's going on. It's like everybody trying to get their needs met, but it's different ways of going about it that is, it's not sitting well with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually brings up, like, a good point. And it's just like that space of being in survival mode and needing to do what you gotta do in order to be able to survive. And like you said, it's like that spin of perspective that people basically put on things, and how you see like it as like a negative thing, or the judgment people can pass on just people within their community and different actions that they display. But at the end of the day, everyone's trying to make their way or support their family or support themselves, because it's hard. Like, it's definitely hard out here trying to be able to survive. So I really like how you just said that and kind of framed that, which helps hopefully broaden people's perspective. I know, like, when people get into situations and they're impacted by things that could be, pretty traumatic, it's definitely not to minimize that, but it's kind of interesting to just think of it in a broader terms of, like, the actions and why people may do the things that they do. And even with you, like, living in Section 8 before, like, if you liked share, like, what are some of the difficult things that you did like see or have to experience just being in that space?
Mm, so thinking about my experience on Section 8, some of the things that I've seen or experienced was like just always having like notices on your door that's saying different stuff. Whether we're talking about parking spaces, whether we're talking about inspections coming up, whether we're talking about you got too much stuff on your patio, um, all kind of stuff. It's just it was just like a burden to see all of that, especially as a kid, especially like, knowing that your family is doing their best to, maintain and keep food on the table and
Mhm.
stay sane and not get shot coming in the house and etc. Like, there's so much that we have to deal with inside of our homes, and trying to be safe. And so that's part of it. And just having so many conditions that we have to abide, or what's the word,
Bye bye.
abide,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, abide by. And it's like everything that we need, our resources are, all of the whole system isn't even like right. So what I mean by that is like, so we have all these notices, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then when it's time to go wash our clothes, the washer and dryers don't work effectively.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't pay the rent. I mean, we don't pay water, but then we got to go to a whole different laundromat from that's in here, and we got different laundromats in here, and most of the washer and dryers don't work. And so
Mm-hmm.
if it's one person already in there washing, then you probably got to wait a few hours till they finish washing their clothes. Things like that. Sewage, like I said, like sewage would be flowing through the grass. Things like that. Mold, we got mold in the walls. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is the priorities is all fucked up of the people who even renting this stuff out, and they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't care. Y'all are less than.
Yeah.
We assisting y'all with something. So y'all gonna take what we gonna give y'all, and we gonna complain about other shit why y'all taking what we giving y'all. And so that's like some of the stuff, some of the burdens. I've lost a lot of people from my community to gun violence, within living in Section 8. Um, a lot of family trauma within our household. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that, like, one way, well, first of all, I'll just say, like, that kind of ties into what you were talking about, okay, getting in the situation and having to like live in this environment and all the things that come with it. And then it's such a shame, like, even you think about, okay, if like, landlords and people that's renting are complaining, like, but y'all not even holding y'all part of the bargain, and that makes things even more difficult. And it is like that idea of like, well, we're helping you, so you're gonna take what we give you, and that part is just like heartbreaking, because overall we just need to do better, like in general. Like if people gonna help people, it's like really help people instead of giving people the short end of the stick or giving people the scraps, and actually try and like, I would hope that like when it comes to living in these environments, like things could just be better, things could be healthier, and people can like imagine for themselves like what I want to, even if I'm written this out, like what I want to even live in this environment, instead of constantly looking at people as just less than. And it does, like, I feel like tied to like just the whole system of things. Like it sounds good on paper if you look up Section 8 and you like, oh, what's the definition of this, and oh, what can you get, what's provided to you, it sounds super good. But the reality of it is like, it can tend to just flip somebody's world upside down when all y'all are trying to do, all any of us are trying to do, is just be able to survive and have a roof over our heads, and be able to provide. People are trying to provide for their families, and trying their best to keep their children safe, or themselves safe, by having just a roof over their head to begin with. So it's really disheartening just to kind of hear about the lack of care, even probably empathy, that the people that are like kind of over it are giving to people in the circumstances. So it's just like, if you already in a position to where you gotta live here, and it's like they making it 10 times harder, 10 times harder for you to be able to just make your way, and like that's super frustrating in itself. Yeah, and I super appreciate you being willing to just share like what your experience has been. And I'm even like curious just in regards to like when it came to your book, because I know art can definitely be, first of all, do you got the book on you? Is it somewhere around so you can even show the people what it looked like?
I got it in my car. Yeah, I got it in my car.
I'm gonna have to insert a little picture at the end for people so y'all can see what this book looked like.
I send the picture.
Yeah, and
yeah, I got something in the car.
okay, cool. How does that, like, how did you get to that format of wanting to even come up with this concept and idea, and like what was like your goal for it?
Gotcha. So a few years ago, I had really just started writing poetry. I haven't been writing that long intentionally. I was always intrigued by like the writing process, even in English class. I just it was hard for me to focus as a young boy. So I really didn't hone in um, on my writing skills until probably like 2014, 2015. And so I had just started like my intentional writing process, and had started to write a lot of I just writing a lot about a lot. It was stories and everything. Wasn't really a poem. It was just getting a lot of stuff off my head that I had already been thinking about, different stories, experiences that I had. Um, and I had wrote this one poem called Section 8, and it really described like a lot of things that I've experienced in my lived experience in Section 8 housing. And I was really juiced about this poem, and it was like one of my favorite poems at the time. And so I had showed it to two of my coworkers, or I had read it to them, and they was like, "We should make that into a book."
Yeah.
And I was like, Yeah, let's do it.
Go. Yeah.
Because I'm just like I'm one of the people like sometimes I have an idea and when I share it with somebody, it's somebody that can make it even better. And so whenever that happens, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Because I know I'm capable of doing a lot of things, like whether it's writing a movie script or whatever. But if it's somebody that already have a movie script that's written and they're like, bro, I need an actor, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so once they start talking about that, we start meeting like every every 2 weeks or something just to talk about like all right how we want to go about it. And so originally the book was supposed to be like dang I forget that instrument. What's that instrument called that Steve Urkel used to play? Accordion.
Uh-huh.
It was supposed to be an accordion book where it opened up and all the pictures come out, but it was gonna be hecka big. It was gonna be like 25 feet long. So
Oh.
with a plan B, because it was gonna take a lot to produce them too, because they was gonna be handmade. So yeah, we had to come up with a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
The plan B was to create like just a regular open book where it go from the front to the back. Um, so I started to my illustrator name is Webster, one of my coworkers, and I started to send him different like images to go with the different lines and stuff. So he was saying like he said that people thought he was crazy because he was working on it at his
Mm-hmm.
house and had heck of pictures of me up on his wall for
Right.
reference.
Right. People
What?
walking in like, what you doing?
Yeah, like what is you doing? And so yeah, we went through that process and it was dope. So yeah, the goal for me is really just to not just, but one of the goals is to inspire other people to share their stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer in if you don't write your story, somebody else will try to write your story.
Yeah.
So I want to leave a legacy of my own words that talked about my lived experience. Um, and I want to inspire others to do that as well. I think for me, it's healing.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I talk about anything, it's healing. Whether it's a conversation, it's just conversation. Whether I'm breaking down, crying, talking about it,
Right.
it's it's healing. And I want other people to feel that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
be able to like cry and feel light after crying. Like that's a beautiful feeling. And yeah, just inspire people because I feel like a lot of people that come from where I come from, they have stories. Like it's a fact. They have stories. They have lived experiences, and it's a lot of people that misunderstand them because they don't tell their side. Sometimes people go to
Mm-hmm.
jail forever, or sometimes people get killed, and their story isn't able to be told. And so that's I want to inspire people, whether it's through their music, whether it's through um, dancing, whatever. I want people to tell their stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's super important for people to be able, is that's kind of like, instead of giving up your power and letting other people control your narrative, that's a way of people being able to take their power back and being able to control their narrative, and like you said, putting their words to it, because people will try to put whatever perspectives and spins they want on other people's experience. So I think, like, art, because I'm an art girl too, so definitely utilizing that as a form of expression has its own format to be able to just push a person through with healing, especially like if you've experienced like some type of trauma or you've been in some difficult situations and you can't quite find, the words to quite articulate it, even in a conversation type of way, then being able to write poetry or dance or sing or play your instrument, like that usually helps the emotions to be able to kind of like and energy to be able to move its way through so that you can get to that place of healing. And for you, like, what, when it comes to that topic of healing, and like what do you feel like has helped you just overall, because of course we know healing is a process, it's a journey, like, it takes baby steps, like sometimes even throughout a lifetime, but things get better and you don't have to hold so much and it doesn't feel so heavy. But like, what has been some of the most healing things that you've done in order to be able to just help yourself cope with like your journey, what you've been through, what you've seen, things like that?
Gotcha. Writing has definitely been one. It's been like, oh man, let me write this down, and
Mm-hmm.
and turn this into a poetry. I mean, into a poem. Just like for me, when I'm writing are when I'm thinking about writing. It's so many things that inspire me. And it's like, all right, it could be a conversation, it could be a lecture, it could be a movie that I'm watching, um, it could be just looking outside, and so many things inspire me, especially when I'm just kind of like in my writing mood when I'm writing.
Right.
Uh, Especially utilizing different workshops, free workshops or workshops that cost. So writing is one. Crying is one that I haven't been able to cry a lot, but I've been crying more than I was when I was younger, and that has been really really healing for me. It's like cleansing
Mm-hmm.
a lot of weight off my spirit. It's just yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Acting is hella healing. Being able to put yourself in the shoes of a character that has been appointed to you by the what you call it, the writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in like 4 plays. Well, actually like 5 plays in the last 5 years, and yeah, it's dope. It's just dope being able to be sit with other folks, other talented folks, and have these conversations about our lived experiences, which ultimately connects to us being able to be on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
bringing these other characters to life, and yeah, it's healing. It's healing, and then being able to display these talents to other people on the stage. Yeah, so acting, um, yoga has been
Ooh,
uh,
yeah.
a one. Um, so for me, yoga has shown me that um, like how powerful the connection between the mind and the body is.
Mm-hmm.
How sometimes we overthink things, or like say like, oh, I don't think I can do that, but then through the power of breath, you're
Mm-hmm.
able to lift your body up on your hands, like you know what I mean, and do a handstand and things like that. And so that's been hella healing for me. And like you said, energy. So yoga is one of those things that is able to move energy throughout your body. And so sometimes what a lot of people don't know is we have sometimes when we have like our body is aching and stuff, it's energy that's stuck in a certain place. So
Mm-hmm.
it might be stuck in your throat. And sometimes through yoga, you can shift that energy from one place to another. Massage therapy, so getting massages, that's another one that moves the energy throughout your
Right.
body. And so, yeah, I get a lot of massages. Therapy has been hella helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going to therapy for like 3 or 4 years now. And we wrapping up some sessions, but I'm gonna jump into this other form of therapy.
Okay.
It's group therapy for Black men.
Mm-hmm.
So, a cohort of 13 Black men doing group therapy for 6 weeks.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's led by a Black woman
Uh-huh.
therapist. So, finna jump into that. It's another platform that I'm partaking in. It's called To Me For You.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a platform for Black men to talk about different experiences. So each month, pick a topic and select 3 Black men to share their experiences live on the platform. It's a dope ass platform. It's like
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's a big ass TV show. Like
Okay.
I feel like I'm famous when I'm on there. Um, so
Right.
when I feel different energies, that's like, all right, well, this is where I need to be. This
Mm-hmm.
spirit is telling me where I need to be. And so, yeah, every time I step in different rooms, I already know like people love to see me coming.
Yeah.
So, yep, that one is dope. So last month, I wasn't on the show last month, but last month the theme was intimacy.
Okay.
So yeah, it's different themes, and it get deep. It get deep
It
because
sounds like it.
this
Shoot.
healing work, this healing work is deep.
Mhm.
So it gets deep. So this month the theme is suicidal doors.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna have to like you're gonna have to like share how we can even because I'm gonna need to check that out
Okay,
for
so
real.
the Instagram is called Create the Space.
Mm-hmm.
CR, the number 8, and then the space. So create the space, and you can get all the information there. The link should be in their bio. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've been. So the first time I went there was like November, December 2019, and I've been like staying connected because
Mm-hmm.
it's a powerful space. It's a lot of resources that come in the building or are viewing it live. A lot of different Black therapists. That's where
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got started with Black Men Yoga at, like you know what I mean. And that's where I got connected to this 6-week program that I'm going into. It's called Restore the King.
Okay.
So follow that Instagram too, Restore the King.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, let me see. That's a few of them. I got others.
Yeah.
Some of some of them that I haven't been doing though is like I usually ride my bike. My bike is down right now, so I haven't been able to do that. Um, yeah, yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, you are super like just tapped into your healing process, which I'm sure has been like a long journey. It ain't easy, but like you definitely pushing through for sure, for sure. Like the simple fact that you just like ran down a whole list of things that just kind of shows people healing just encompasses so many different things. Like it takes you really trying to dibble and dabble in some things until you find what feels good to your soul, what feels good to your spirit, and is going to be the vehicle to get you where you're going. And I really just like have enjoyed like hearing about the fact that like you're doing it through art. You really understand like energy, y'all, is real in the body, especially if you've experienced some type of traumatic experience. Like, your body does not forget what you have experienced, which is why like if you are in a situation that's similar, your body will react exactly the way it did when the past experience happened. And when we do experience a level of trauma, a lot of the times if it's like an ongoing cycle of just trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, our brains can even developmentally get stuck in that area. So like some people will even not developmentally age due to like a specific very intense traumatic experience that they've had. And then a lot of times it puts people in just that fight or flight mode all the time, keeping people hyper vigilant, or some people experiencing like vicarious traumatization, which is basically like even if you hadn't lived in an environment or seen it, if you've heard of it or you've seen other people continue to go through it, you can experience a level of trauma. So the simple fact that you like energy is real and people can like feel it in their body or be like, dang, well, I got this lump in my throat or my back or my side is always hurting. And it's just like, we got to really get in touch with, working that energy through and people not be like, oh, that's woo-woo stuff. Like, nah, y'all, like energy is real. We should have learned that when we was in like elementary school. Even furniture got energy. So moving it, and like you said, yoga is a beautiful way to connect like to your body and connect to your breath so that it's able to like anchor you, as well as being able to get those massages and move that energy all about. And definitely you had to like give one time to the therapist, because I'm a therapist, so the fact that you mentioned therapy is like super important. And you willing to even like you've been in it for such a while, as well as like being able to be interested in like group therapy. And do you feel like there's something that's been most profound like in utilizing that space to just help you be able to heal?
The specific therapy space.
Yeah, like what is that even just provided for you to just have that level of support?
For me, the main thing going into therapy, well, like one of the messages that I got was, uh, don't come into this thinking that I'm gonna fix you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the message that I have right now from like experiencing therapy for these years and all of these different ways that I experience healing is that you have the ability to heal yourself. Um, and so what therapy has done for me is it's kind of like mirror mirror the things that I need to do back to me. Is
Mm-hmm.
more asking me these questions and like, oh well, why did you do this, or why didn't you do this? Um, and you I had answers, like, you know, and if I don't, I have to go deeper inside, and figure it out. And so that's one of the things that therapy has done for me. It's really shown me that um, I'm able to heal myself. And sometimes it's that we need assistance. We need folks that can see what's going on with me from the outside perspective and show it back to me,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll be able to be aware of it. And a lot of people don't have that. And so it's kind of like trying to solve a problem, but you don't have the tools to solve it, or you don't even know if it's, you don't even know it's a problem. So the problem ain't gonna get solved.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know you traumatized.
Right.
You ain't gonna be able to heal. Um, you
That's
know,
deep.
so really being able to go back mentally and think like, oh shit, well this happened when I was 5. That's why I act like this now. Or
Mm-hmm.
this happened last year, or this happened last week, or this happened just before I got here, and that's why I'm tripping right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like what you said with that energy, that shit is important and it's real. Your body don't forget it, your mind don't forget it, and your spirit don't forget it. And
Absolutely.
like one of the examples that I have for that is like I was robbed at gunpoint a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
I So through my healing process, I'm like, all right, I'm finna write a skit about it. So I actually wrote a skit about it and changed a few things, but for the most part, it was kind of like exactly how I went. And in that process, I was triggered because it was like, oh shit, this shit feel real.
Mm-hmm.
That shit took me back to the time when it really happened, and it just threw me off. Even though I knew that the gun that we had, it was a toy gun and it was plastic, and the person that was acting with me wasn't really trying to harm me, but
Right.
it was the energy, my spirit, like, hold on, bro, I know this experience, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like deja vu, and it kind of
Yeah.
threw me. I didn't even share that with the folks I should have, but I didn't even share it with them. I just kept it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's super important, like you said, like the healing process you're in control of. Same way as like you were saying, like people can control their narrative by what they share. And just the idea of like trauma takes your sense of safety away and can make you question, like, well, dang, like what is safety anymore? Because there's so many different elements of it that are completely out of your control. And then so being able to like rebuild like that sense of safety is like super important. And it sounds like even in that experience and knowing that you did have the resources and you was even to be able to be aware, first of all, because one thing you just said that was like true was like, dang, people don't even know if they traumatized, so they don't even know they need to heal. So the simple fact that you were able to be to like identify like, well, shoot, this is triggering me, this is tough, because it mimics so many different areas of the real experience that you had. Like you had to go within yourself, utilize your resources to remind yourself like I'm safe, like do a little bit of grounding, I'm sure, to recognize like nobody's robbing me right now, nobody's trying to harm me right now, I'm in a safe environment, in a safe place, in order to just kind of get yourself grounded, like you said, and kind of keep pushing through so you can get that message across that you were trying to do. So I'm sure like having all these different things, even like crying, and like there's a sense of safety that can just come with crying too, that you can build within yourself, and that honesty and trust you can build with yourself. Because I always say, if you can't be real with nobody else, be real with yourself and be able to get in a place to where you can cry. Like it's super vulnerable. And I know it's super even just stigma around Black men being able to cry, but like that is most definitely a form of release. Like our body is going, even if we're not paying attention to stuff, eventually these are going to bubble to the surface and you're going to be like, why the heck is my eyes leaking? Like, I don't even know. But your body is trying to let that stuff, like, come out. Like we have to have these different forms of release. And then so I'm happy that you kind of like touched on those things, and even just, you being able to like make yourself feel safe in spaces. Like has there been like a number one thing that has helped you just stay like grounded in the moment when you feel like, okay, I'm getting triggered right now and this feel like what happened back then?
Yeah. For me, it's just really thinking about the energy and the light that I bring to the space, and
Mm-hmm.
reminding myself like the energy that I put out in the world is the energy that I'll get back.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky though at times because it's like you never know how people really feel about you.
Right.
So you don't really know, but you just gotta walk on faith with like, I ain't did nothing to nobody in this world like that make me feel like they should harm me. So yeah, you just kind of got. That's what I do. I just kind of walk on faith on certain things. It's just like, man, I feel a way, but I'm a shift my thinking right now.
Right.
Think more positive because yeah, just a positive space, or I'm just the positive energy that's gonna shift the energy all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be confident too with that too, because it's a lot of people that um, sometimes that look up to us in the way that we move through the world, and it's like all you gotta do is say something, and that can change their mind. And
Right.
sometimes we don't know the power of our own words. I know for me, sometimes I don't know the power of my words, but I've seen it over the years. Like people just saying certain things to me that make me like, damn, you really look up to me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, sometimes you just gotta say something.
Yeah. And staying tapped into your light. Like that sounds like it's very grounding for you and having just that faith of like, okay, expecting the good instead of living in a space. Because trauma could definitely make you live in a space of expecting the worst all the time or trying to be prepared for the worst all the time. And then so, like you said, having even just conversations with people, like that's what just this whole breaking barriers thing is about, is to be able for people to come and just talk, because you're right, words are very, very powerful, and our words can either tear people down, or they can have the ability to be able to uplift people and kind of just push people, more towards healing and even tapping into their light, because we all have a light that we very much, hold and have possession of, that we're able to share in this world. And it's always beautiful when people are able to feel inspired by you. And I definitely hope that like just your goal of like, the book and like sharing your story and being real about just what life can be and how you can be able to keep going and keep pushing, that it inspires people that are in the same or similar situations to know that things can get better, or like there are other options, like it doesn't have to be some of the options that people may be used to choosing, or even that people are used to seeing in their environment. Like there are other options and things that people can be able to do. And then even with like when it comes to like just like a therapist, like what do you think like could be helpful even on like my side of things for people in these situations? Like what do you feel like the mental health professionals or therapists can like offer more as a support to people that need to heal through these different type of situations?
It's a good question. Hold on, let me think. Say the question again.
Like what could, even me, like if I had like a young man come in my therapy space and he has some similar experiences to you, like what would you hope that I would be able to like offer to that person, or what are some ways that I could best support that person in just their healing journey?
Got you. I think some of the ways would be like connecting them to some of these spaces that I mentioned, or just
Mm-hmm.
bring it up, because sometimes folks aren't open to just walk into a space where they don't know anybody. Um, Let folks know that like in this specific space, somebody personally that that's cool, that they might want to talk to, and we can maybe build a relationship, and they can come to you speak or something like that. I think this platform right here is dope and it's important, because one thing that I haven't really been performing lately, and I have been turning down a few things, but I know that this wasn't just specifically about performing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this space. It's really a conversation that we having, and I like to talk, but it's not a lot of people that have genuine conversations with me on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. And a lot of people would think, oh, that's crazy. Like I thought, nah. How you doing? Like even without saying that, you've said that already within this interview. Just asking certain questions about my experience, opposed to like, oh, when's the next performance? When your
Right.
next book? You haven't even asked me that. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people are just like, when the next performance? Hey, can you come to this? And I'm like, nah, I ain't coming because I don't feel the energy is not there. So I ain't. Oh, nah, I'm cool. And it don't matter about the money or nothing like that. It's the energy. Like I said, it's when the last time I talked to you. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The time I talked to you, you talking about the event. And so it's just being mindful of, folks. Like it's a crazy ass time right now. So
Yes.
last time you checked on this person, like you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So yeah, this space is dope, and I'll be down to even come back on here and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's exposing people and stuff like this. Um, Let me see what else helpful. Being open, like being vulnerable with clients, sharing your
Mm-hmm.
experience. I know for me, that's if people don't share stuff with me, I'm only gonna share a little bit of,
Right.
of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I feel like you getting paid or something, I'm gonna close off certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
That's just even me at 28 years old with all the knowledge that I have. I'm not gonna let you in too deep. If I feel like you're not gonna be around for that long, if I feel like you're not genuine,
Right.
etc.
Yeah. I definitely like that authenticity. Um, is so important. And I definitely know that, like, a lot of the therapists that are coming through, like, the up and coming therapists, the schools don't necessarily teach us how to remain authentic. They kind of try to mold us into being the therapist that people are typical of seeing, that ties into that stigma of like by the book. And I know I definitely had to like shake some of that off, which of course came with years of experience, because I was like, oh, I gotta, like, I'm under the board, and the board could take my license away or my registration. So I gotta do it exactly how they wanted to do it. And honestly, it took me it took me literally getting a job where I was in a counseling enriched classroom where a majority of my clients were some Black boys from the same neighborhoods that I was from, to where they was not about to do this with me. Like, they like, look, I'm about to peep your game and I'm about to cuss you out if you think that I'm just gonna sit here and open up to you. And so I really had to like let my guard down a little bit more and not be by the book. And I had to be like, look here, like, I'm from the same area that you from, and let me just tell you what it is, how it is, and what it's not about to be, because I'm not about to be too many more names that you're about to call me. And once I was able to kind of break down their barriers and help them feel like, oh, okay, she about it. Like, we can't scare her. We're not about to, she really care about us. Like, once I start giving them just love and letting them know, like, you can push me away so many times, but I still rock with you. And I'm about to show up every single day because I see the best in you. And I'm not looking at you like everybody else is looking at you as like a threat or just a menace to society and all that. I'm not doing that because, I just see the value like in people, especially children, just needing that extra love. And once they realize I rocked with them in that way and I was not about to come with them with all the things from the book, then it did help me open the door, like for me to be able to do like the therapy things that I needed to be able to do with them. So them kids, I owe, like, it was some girls in there too. And trust me, they was trying to give me, a run for my money. Like, but I owe so much to those kids because in the year and a half I worked with them, it helped me tap into my authentic self as a therapist and who I really wanted to like be and how I wanted to show up and bringing more of Chetina to the space. Like, I'm not just a therapist, like I'm Chetina. I have all these different identities, that I'm standing upon as well. And it helps me to break down just that stigma of like, people thinking that therapists present a certain way. Like, I really want people to feel real and like people be like, you a therapist? Like, I didn't even know that. And to make them feel more comfortable to be like, well, dang, if I go to therapy, I might have the opportunity to meet a dope therapist like you. Maybe I should give that a try. And then so I really like, dig just that fact that we have to be authentic because at the end of the day, no matter our education, no matter our knowledge, no matter our skills, we're humans. And we trying to figure this all out day by day because we ain't done none of this before. like none of this. And so I really appreciate, you just being willing to come into this space. And I'm really hoping it just bless the people, and that people are, able to just continue having the conversation from here on out. Even if it goes beyond just the topic of Section 8, but just talking about difficult life experiences, living in difficult environments, living in neighborhoods, like different things of that nature. And, even more Black men feeling okay to become a part of spaces like this, like you being on this series really just represents a whole lot. So I definitely appreciate that. And I don't know if you have like any last thoughts or like words of encouragement, like to the little Black boys, to little Black girls, to anybody that the adults that have that little Black boy and little Black girl in them that still need to heal. Like, what's some words of encouragement that you have?
For sure. Well, I'm gonna start off because one thing that I forgot to mention it around the healing process is like I got an altar at my house, so I created an altar with all the obituaries that I have, and I make sure to keep my keep candles over there so I can light candles and pay respect to that, and keep their names high, and ask them for guidance. You know what I mean, on the spiritual realm, as I'm still moving through the physical realm, and saging my space as well. So saging my space, making sure my energy is good, and being very intentional about that. So those two things. But as far as encouragement is, I encourage I encourage folks to really sit with themselves, in silence, whether it's outside, inside, and just talk to yourself, because you got the answers. You know what the problems are. You know where the pain is. We got to go inside, and that's something that I've been doing lately, is trying to sit with myself and figure it out. Where's my happiness? Where's my joy? When the last time I felt joy? How do I experience pleasure? What do I need? How do I provide myself with some of these things? Because a lot of times I was looking for that outside of me. I have to find the inside of me first in order to find the outside. And I found it in certain areas, but certain areas I still haven't found it yet. So I'm still searching. And yeah, when you do go inside, try to find, if you do have like trauma from your younger self, try to find that younger self, and ask them, like, what do they need? And, what do they need to heal from that? Because that's real. Like, some people are stuck mentally, like 30, 40, and really 14 mentally. So don't trust nobody, and certain things trigger them. And so yeah, it's that going inside. So one thing that I've done was the sitting down, and then another thing that I went a little further with, is like looking in the mirror, like really looking in the mirror. I've always looked in the mirror and appreciated who I am from my head to my toes, but really, one thing that I did was look in my eyes, and try to see, what's beyond the eyes, and try to see my soul. Where that thing at? I, the beholder of the soul. I'm like, all right, well, where it's at, and how do I connect with it, and how do I move with the spirit? So yeah, that's something. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah. Yes. That is all just like, I felt that. I felt that to where I'm speechless. Like, I've definitely had my moments of needing to look in the mirror, apologize to myself, forgive myself, like forgive other people, and do things for me, because this is all like, for us. Like, we are the holders. We have the answers. We got to be able to ask ourselves these questions, because we can only go as deep as we allow ourselves to go. And then, so thank you so much for being able to just share all that you have shared. I am so excited about this. And definitely, tell people, like, where they can connect with you at, like how they can tap in with you, how they can check out your book. Just let them know what's up.
Yeah, for sure. So all my platforms is under Tj Sykes, on Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't really be on LinkedIn like that, but
But he got it though. He got it.
and Instagram underscore TJ Sykes. So my candy walnut, I have a candy walnut business, and the Instagram is underscore Divine Treats 2020. I got 4 flavors: chocolate, maple, strawberry, and blueberry. And then I do have a book Instagram as well. Is I think it's tj.section.8. Yeah, tj.section.8. Yeah, I think that's all my platforms that I have. I'll be dropping my website soon, and then when I do, the link will be in my bio
Nice.
on both of my Divine Treats and my personal account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So folks can also buy the book directly from me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, make sure y'all tap in with him. Like, he is such a gift, such an amazing person. You know, from the few interactions that we have had, like, say whether he talks about people energy, like, I've always just felt a very positive energy radiating, you know, off of him, just being so sweet, so kind, and very just authentic to who he is. And then, so, you know, tap in with him and see, you know, what he's about, what he's getting tapped into, because clearly the resources and the things that he's doing are also spaces that y'all can be able to be a part of for your own healing. And, you know, when it comes to just this series, it's the home of it is on YouTube. So I definitely, this is episode 2. So episode 1 was about suicide, where I was talking to a very close friend of mine, Haley Arterberry, and we kind of talked about, you know, just that whole topic and trying to break the barriers around that. And then so this episode, you know, will forever live on the YouTube space, but it's also going to be on my website, www.alwayslivelovely.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and then the YouTube is also at Always Live Lovely. And then so just kind of stay tapped in with that. You know, I do some free workshops sometime. I have lots of wonderful things that will be coming out as time progresses. We just getting started. I'm just hoping that this, you know, space and series can be timeless. Like, it's not just that this is for today and that was cool. These are issues and topics I'm talking about that have impacted people for years on top of years on top of years. So I'm hoping that people can watch it by themselves, with their friends, with their family members, everyone, and really just, you know, begin to get themselves to just shift. If mental health is about to be a trending topic, then okay, let's really shake some things up and really start to just shift things within ourselves and within our community to really begin to start and see, you know, some true differences and some true changes. So just kind of stay tapped in, y'all, with both of us. We got wonderful things that's coming up. I might have to bring him back, because what y'all don't know is this man's eating habits is out of this world. So I might have to bring him back just so he can help us get our whole everything right, you know, so that we eat it right, because that play a big part in our mental health too. So thank you so much, TJ. You are completely awesome. All right.